To be honest, I was working on a completely different video for today, but yesterday I got this email and I just knew I had to cover this today instead. Because Exodus is getting a new trailer during the Game Awards. We've already gone over everything we know regarding the game thus far in 2 videos so far, if you're interested, but for those following the game for a while, you know that there had been a bit of a long radio silence on Archetype's part, then they released another Q&A video with some extra info that we also went over, and also told us we can wishlist the game now, and then they receded back into the shadows again, only to now come forward once again to tell us that there will be a new trailer during the Game Awards. As I said in my latest Exodus video, the fact they announced we can wishlist the game now tells us the game is almost ready, as usually after a game becomes available for wishlisting, the game is then released 6 months to a year later. So in my opinion, we're definitely getting a release date along with this new trailer during the Game Awards. Especially considering they first announced the game back in 2023, so it's been 2 years since, and they also made such a big deal out of this trailer by announcing it on their website, sending out emails to people, and so on. I really hope for a 6-month waiting period, to be honest, as I'm really curious about this game, since anyone who has been here long enough knows that I'm still extremely salty over what they did to Mass Effect, and that I have been desperately looking for a new space opera RPG of equal cinematic and epic proportions to immerse myself in. And now we have not one, but 2 such games to look forward to. To be honest, I feel like the Expanse is not far behind either, and is probably close to release as well, as it too is available to wishlist, and they have also been a bit more forthcoming with both information and videos, behind the scenes information, like them hiring a professional astronaut to make sure the game is realistic enough when you're shooting, for example, and how that is heard and felt in space. They've also shared some of the OST too, so I feel like these 2 are both almost done cooking. Honestly, it will be a bit funny if we get 2 such games within the same year, or one after the other, for example, but also kind of sad, as Mass Effect will just sadly look on as these 2 games run while Andromeda didn't just walk, but crawled. The original Mass Effect trilogy did something unprecedented and established this genre of games into the pantheon of RPGs, for me at least. But Andromeda was just... yeah. So to me, these 2 games are more of a sequel to the original Mass Effect trilogy than Andromeda ever was, to be honest. These are Mass Effect's spiritual successors, if you will. One is made by ex-Mass Effect devs and talent, and the other by a passionate group of people working for a studio whose fans have nothing but nice words to say regarding them, their games, and their willingness to take fan feedback into account. So we at least know we are in good hands and will be eating good regardless of what happens to the empty, shallow husk that is modern Bioware. Honestly, at this point, like I've said many times before, I hope it gets shut down before they do any further damage to their IPs. And while I know that many, including myself to be honest, are kind of skeptical towards Archetype Entertainment, and I mean, can you blame us? Western studios have been disappointing fans and producing slop for a while now, so they have a lot of work to do before people, start trusting them again. But the way I see it, even if Exodus lets us down, we still have the Expanse. I have in no way, shape or form given up on Exodus just yet, of course, and we have seen them silently course correcting on certain aspects of the game after many fans pointed out their concerns. So I wish and hope both Exodus and the Expanse are huge successes, because after Mass Effect, no studio ever truly made a space opera ever again. So from 0 to now getting 2 new such games, it is just incredibly satisfying and amazing to see, as I hope these games do well enough that we will get sequels upon sequels for years to come. The reason being that I truly have missed such games, to be honest, but at the same time, we have been burned one too many times so far, so I'm being a bit more cautious when it comes to games in general nowadays, but especially when it comes to games by Western studios specifically. Though, realistically speaking, Exodus and the Expanse are fundamentally different games, both when you compare them to each other, as well as when you compare them to Mass Effect, even though they are both set in space. The Expanse explores the more realistic part of space exploration, focusing mostly on our journey through the stars, so there aren't aliens and the like in the game. It is much more of a human-focused experience that explores the political, the economic, and the social dynamics of different factions of human colonies and the constant push and pull between them all. Exodus, on the other hand, is much more of an all-out space opera RPG that takes the idea of space exploration and then takes it one step further by including awakened animals and also quote-unquote aliens, with a twist though, as the aliens in this game aren't really aliens, as in their origin is not from another planet or something, since they are basically descendants of humans that evolved over millennia, or other life forms that have been genetically modified or even engineered over tens of thousands of years. So neither game is truly a Mass Effect copy per se, but instead they have their own unique twists to them to make them both interesting in their own unique way, of course, and each of them is worth playing in my opinion, for different reasons of course, but ultimately they both look like incredible games that deserve a chance, and I truly hope they can both succeed as the genre truly needs it. In any case, both games look extremely promising thus far, and I'm keeping an eye on both of them, and I can't wait for the Game Awards and this promised trailer.